Hey everyone, welcome back to Listography. It's been a pretty strong couple of weeks for new releases. We got a new My Morning Jacket record from Out of the Blue. Finally got the new Margot Price record, which had been delayed for several months due to COVID. And a whole slew of other great records have come out as well. I want to talk about three of my favorites from the last couple of weeks. These are my staff picks. First record I want to talk about is called Jump Rope Gazers by the Beths. The Beths are a four-piece rock band from Auckland, New Zealand. This is their second full-length record. The band's frontwoman and primary songwriter Elizabeth Stone says that she's heavily influenced by the music of her past groups like Tegan and Sarah and Rilo Kiley. In the record's quieter moments, you can definitely hear that Rilo Kiley influence coming through. A lot of the other guitar-heavy tracks on the record remind me more of 90s alt-rock and other more recent groups that kind of mine that same territory. Groups like Bully and Yuck. The Beths, however, definitely have a poppier take on that sound. A lot of really strong melodies. Her voice and delivery are very sort of sweet and syrupy. My favorite tracks on the record are the four that open it: I'm Not Getting Excited, Dying to Believe, the title track, and Acrid. And even though this record might be a little bit front-loaded, it's definitely not a record that falls apart in the back half. I don't think there's really any bad songs on this, and it also closes really well with the track Just Shy of Shore. So if you like 90s alt-rock, power pop, stuff like Teenage Fan Club or The Breeders or the Pixies, or more recent bands that sort of do a similar thing, like I mentioned, Bully and Yuck, or even very melodic groups. Some of her melodies remind me of like Camera Obscura. If you're into any of that stuff, this is definitely a group that I would recommend. So my second staff pick is going to be the record Transfiguration Highway by Little Kid. This is a indie folk rock group from Toronto. Kenny Boothby is the primary singer-songwriter in this group. He's got these high, whispery, kind of quivering vocals that remind me a bit of Mark Linkous from Sparkle Horse. And musically, this record calls to mind a variety of early aughts heavy hitters in indie rock. Everything from early Sufjan Stevens records to Bright Eyes to Death Cab. So it might not be the most original record that you'll hear this year, although I do think some of these influences kind of mixed together in unique and interesting ways. I think for indie fans that are, roughly my age, this is really going to call to mind a lot of the music that they liked during their college years. It's almost like finding a lost classic that you somehow didn't catch when it was first released. So if those influences that I mentioned were groups that you were into, this might be something new that you might want to check out. My third and final staff pick this week is going to be the new Rufus Wainwright record, Unfollow the Rules. This is Rufus's return to pop after a number of years kind of having disappeared. He was off writing operas. This is his return to pop, and it is fantastic. One of my favorite records of the year so far. Produced by Mitchell Froome, and you've got some great studio players on it. Matt Chamberlain plays drums on most of the record. Jim Keltner plays drums on a couple tracks. Blake Mills plays guitar all over the record. And just as a side note, I think we should take notice of how many great records Blake's been involved in this year. From producing and playing all over the new Perfume Genius record, his own solo record, Mutable Set. He's on the new Bob Dylan record, and then this one, some of the best music of the year he's been involved with. The record sounds immaculate. The playing on it is fantastic, obviously with such high-profile session players on it. There are great string arrangements all over it. But even with all that, undoubtedly the star of the show on this record is Rufus himself. His voice is in peak condition, he sounds fantastic, and he's really just delivered an incredibly strong batch of songs. It's been a pretty long time since I've revisited a lot of his back catalog, but I feel like this is probably my favorite record of his since at least Poses, which was his sophomore record back in 2001. In promotion of this record, he released a behind-the-scenes documentary of the making of it, and he talked about how the record, he kind of sees it as happening in three separate acts. And as I was listening to the record, I was kind of waiting for this third act that I wasn't going to like as much of the rest of it, but it just never came. The whole thing is cohesive. The tunes never falter. There's no weak tracks at all. I could list several of my favorite, but really they're just all so good. One track that I will point out, though, is Peaceful Afternoon, which I think is really strong lyrically and also really shows off how great his voice is. I think he's one of the all-time great male vocalists. No one else really sounds like him, and he really knows how to deliver a song and put a lot of emotion into it. This is a record that I highly recommend for anyone to check out, whether you're new to his music or if you're a longtime fan, or if he's someone that you kind of remember listening to back in the day. Don't sleep on this one. It's super, super good. And like I said, it's in the mix for my favorite albums of the year, along with The Perfume Genius and The Waxahachie and Honey Harper and some of those other records that I've sort of touted so far this year. This is right up there with the best of them. So I hope you all go check these records out. Let me know what you think of them down in the comments below, and let me know what some of your other favorite recent releases have been. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.